Warning, the views and beliefs in the following program does not reflect the views of Boom Broadcasting. We give full creative control to our creators and do not believe in cancel culture. I know it's late, but this is the late night wrestling show here, so viewer discretion is advised.
Live from the MOWM studio, Boom Broadcasting presents The Nightcap. And your host of The Nightcap, mouthing off with Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nightcap here on Boom Broadcasting, hosted by yours truly, Mouthing Off with Mike. And yes, I know it's real late and we're really digging into the Nightcap, but I got to give my man here a great introduction. It is his first time on the Nightcap here tonight. You've seen him on the past on Mouthing Off with Mike. Welcome in one of the brightest minds in the wrestling content creation game. I got Kicking It with Leo. What's going on tonight, my man?
Man, I appreciate the introduction. I mean, AW, man, it was a very great show. Exceeded my expectations. I know people who listen close to me think I have a lot of bad blood, with no pun intended, with AW, or at least the product. The weekly shows, I always say hit or miss, but their pay-per-views always knock it out of the park, and they definitely did that here tonight for sure. Definitely knocked it out of the park for me for sure.
I like it. I like it. And just my man Leo here. I gotta give credit where credit is due. We're live. The red light is on the stream, so I gotta give credit where credit is due. My man Leo has been live this whole time here on his YouTube channel, Kicking It with Leo. He did live reactions with some of his cohorts and content creators that he collabs with. So Leo, you have been going now for almost like 5-6 hours. Where do you find the energy, man? Does the graps just fuel you? Does it just get you going, or what's up?
I feel like wrestling is just pretty much my energy. Like wrestling just continues to keep me fueled up, I guess. I mean, that and Red Bull, of course, but definitely wrestling for the most part. I mean, wrestling has always been a part of who I am. I made that very clear many times before, and just wrestling is just my escape from everything. So it just keeps me going, really. So
I respect it. I respect it. Hey, man, sometimes you need some wings with some Red Bull, but sometimes wrestling just hits you in the right spot or hits you in the wrong spot. In the case here of what we saw just a few moments ago, Leo, listen, it was a marathon tonight, not a sprint. Now,
hmm
AEW does deliver on their pay-per-views, but there were some things here tonight where I felt that maybe they missed on here.
yeah,
And I'm sure we'll get into a discussion here. But let's start. Let's start from the top. We got a lot to cover, so let's do it.
yeah.
We got Hangman Adam Page versus the Switchblade Jay White, and I predicted that the Hangman was going to get the win. I also thought that this was going to end up in a time limit draw, as Tony Khan likes to see it. But Leo, that was not the case. Jay White beats the Hangman here tonight. 1, 2, 3, center of the ring. What was your initial reaction to this?
It's crazy because I actually picked the Switchblade Jay White to win this match. I think if you look at it, this actually is a better story because now Heyman can go into a deeper madness because now he's starting to lose and lose and lose to the point where it's like what they always say in wrestling: when you hit rock bottom, the only thing you can do is work your way back up. And I think you can actually build to another encounter between the two going into their next pay per view, which I think is going to happen. I did like the spot where it looks like Heyman was trying to go for the buckshot lariat, and then he got caught with the switchblade. I think that spot was so cool because it's like I don't really see that happen so many times where somebody gets caught with a finisher. So it just made the ending just the icing on the cake for me for sure. I think Jay White deserved to win with him just coming back. I think you want to reestablish him after being away for so long with a big win, and that's a really big win nonetheless. Because his thing is for Jay White, he wants to build himself back up to becoming a world champion. So now you have two wrestlers who are chomping at the bit to get back into contention to compete for that world championship, which is currently held by the new John Moxley, which we'll talk about later. So this is definitely going to amp a lot of things up going into the rest of this year for sure.
Oh, I like that, Leo. You said that was a great analysis. That's why I called you one of the brightest minds in wrestling content creation. Ladies and gentlemen, the man just told you exactly what needed to happen here tonight. Obviously, Hangman Adam Page gets a massive win with his longtime bitter enemy, Swerve Strickland, a couple weeks back at All Out in the cage match. We'll see Swerve a little bit later on. And Jay White comes back and you have to give Jay White a big win here. If like Leo said, if these are guys that you're going to put in your world title picture, you got to start ramping them up now.
Mm-hmm.
I figured on the trajectory we were going, Hangman would win this match to keep his momentum going. But I do think you're right, though. Hangman is one of those guys where he's had his momentum derailed a few times, and it just makes him a little bit more crazier and a little bit more on edge. And I think it falls in line with this character that they're portraying here for him. John Mox, speaking of the man, someone should call the cops on this man in Washington tonight because he committed multiple crimes, as well as Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. So I hope they don't end up leaving Tacoma without at least getting stopped by the boys, because I think they're wanted for attempted murder. Yeah,
That's the second
crazy.
time.
That's the second time. Big Moxley, big murder guy, I guess. Leo, overall, when you look at this match card, did this
Mm-hmm.
match feel right opening the show?
I think you have two of your best workers in the company. I think, in my personal opinion, Jay White is one of the most underrated, in my personal opinion, on the roster. And I think he proved that he can still hang when it's time to go, when he's actually given the green light to go. He can be one of the best in your company. And I think having a match with Hangman like the way they did, I think this was a great way to start off the show, kicking off with a bang nonetheless. So I think they definitely deserve to open the show. I think you had some other shows, matches on the show that I feel like could have potentially started the show, but I think with AEW wanted to set the tone. I think this was a great match to set the tone for the show.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I think this was a good opening choice. Good match overall. Big win for Switchblade Blade Jay White. We're gonna see what happens with the character progression of Hangman Adam Page and what's next for Jay White. We know right after that we had the only Leo. This is where you might start seeing why we call it the nightcap. Why I had to read that whole disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. Because you might see me get a little hot here. The AEW Women's World Championship match. Mariah May defending against Willow Nightingale in a fantastic wrestling match here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Dare I say, one of the best Mariah May matches in her time at AEW and her best title defense up to this point. And another incredible match for Willow Nightingale. Leo, I don't like this match being the second match on the card and following what we saw with Hangman and Switchblade Jay White.
Yeah.
Now, the ladies, they tore the house down. But talk to me. Do you feel that this match should have been the second match on the card?
No, I feel like with the match being as good as it was, I think you could have placed it somewhere else in the card. Um, I'm I know we're gonna get to this match later, but the Ring of Honor title match co-main eventing. Are we serious right now? And the fact that you had the 2 out of
Joke.
3 falls match on the show too, like right after, you could have put either one of those matches as the second, because usually usually with a lot of matches that we see that happen on pro wrestling, not even just AEW but WWE and other companies as well, you have a great match to start off and you have one match to follow that doesn't capitalize on the same momentum level as the first. And I think you could have slotted this match in, second or something like this. But the women, for it being as good of a match it was, I think it should have been later in the show, because those women killed it. This is literally my favorite women's match for AEW this entire year. Literally my favorite women's match of this entire year. Like, you have someone on the likes of Willow Nightingale, who is pretty much on the run of her career. She is definitely in my running as breakout star of the year for the women's division in AEW. I think she deserves to have some type of win like that, because she has broken out, having she's been a focal point of the women's division tonight. And I think the only thing against her right now is, I think, is a wrong place, wrong time situation. I would love to see her become an AEW Women's Champion, but I think if you could have had this be held off for just a little bit longer, I think the moment for her to win would have been better, because I think not everybody who holds a championship needs to have a long, lengthy reign. We need some transitional reigns in there. We need some reigns that maybe last like 2, 3 months. It's okay. That's part of the business. Not everything needs to be long and lengthy. And I think someone like a Willow Nightingale is definitely well on her way to become a world champion based off her performance that she did have tonight. But I do want to see more from her. I want to see her to go up and get some more heavy hitters like a Britt Baker, maybe get her in there or something like that. Maybe a Mercedes Moné, circle back with that Camille. Like, you have some other heavy hitters on that roster that I want to see her mix it up with to continue to build her momentum, getting back to the title. This could be a start of a redemption arc for her, going through these different women in the division to help her ultimately when she does circle back around for that title. Maybe you have a Jamie Hayter get in there. You have some people around her. You have, maybe she wants to do some stuff with the Ring of Honor, kind of build her stock up again. I think this is a definitely a chapter one of their story, because I think they're going to have many more chapters between these two women, because these are honestly two of your best women. You can have when she comes back, you could have somebody like Tony Storm go up against her. I think she's proven that she's going to be a big star. And if we're just being honest, Willow Nightingale is the future of the AEW Women's Division.
That's it. That's what that right there. You hit the nail on the head once again, Leo. Willow is the future. She might be the best babyface women's wrestler in all of women's wrestling, in all of professional wrestling
Easily.
across the board. There
Mhm.
is no one that gets the crowd hype behind them like Willow can. They believe in her. She is that ray of sunshine, on your television screen. And this was a great drastic difference when it comes to the opponents. Obviously, we know Mariah May, one of the most dastardly, vicious, backstabbing,
Mhm.
conniving women on the roster, going against one of the nicest and upfront and honest women's wrestlers with Willow. I love this match. Leo, I think this deserved. Now, we could say this because we have finished the show, and whatever the people want to say, hey, this deserved to be the co-main event of this pay-per-view. There's a
Mhm.
few matches that I think we should have switched around here tonight, Leo. 100% the Ring of Honor world title did not need to be in the co-main event. This right here was the co-main event, and unfortunately, we had to watch it after a great opening match with Switchblade and Hangman. But like I said, doesn't even matter because the ladies went out there and did the damn thing. This match, Leo, Ring of Honor world title match, I'm flipping around. I'm also flipping around the International Championship and the 2 out of 3 falls match. And I think I'm flipping around Darby and Brody and Swerve's return. I think those happen. I think,
Ooh.
yeah, I think there was things should have been switched. What's going on, Logan? Welcome in to the nightcap. My man's got his frequent flyer miles, Leo. He's been here every episode of the nightcap this week. So much love to Logan. Right, Mox, right win for Mox. We'll talk about it, Logan. I don't know. It was a little awkward for my liking. Let's talk about the TNT Championship.
Mhm.
Jack Perry, Shibata, a really ass finish.
Yeah, I didn't really like the finish. Like, I don't know what the plan is unless they're gonna try to stick maybe another match, because it's like I was confused, and I kind of was like, you had him in a submission, but he was laying on top of Shibata, which gave him the pinfall victory. So I hope they maybe run it back, maybe, but honestly, Jack Perry, I like the character. Don't get me wrong, I love his character, one of my favorite characters in AEW. But his title reign though is kind of hit or miss for me. I might be the
Mm.
only one that feels that way. It's not. I just feel like he doesn't really have a plethora of talent that can bring out the best in him, or vice versa. I think we need some more people on that roster that can potentially go up against Jack Perry. And I think we possibly saw that with seeing Daniel Garcia maybe setting some things up in motion for that. I think another guy that's waiting in the wings that I think you can make a single star, which he's proved with this match with Joe a couple months ago. Hook. I think those are two guys on my list that I think can really go up against a Jack Perry and potentially be your next TNT champion whenever they decide to pull the trigger on either one of these guys. So I want to see more from Jack Perry. I know it seems like, yes, he's in this elite storyline, but it seems like he's kind of been lost in the shuffle because it's mainly been Okada just being the funny guy, just saying all types of crazy stuff, and then the Young Bucks being your tag team champions. And for him being another singles champion, it just seems like he kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But I hopefully he can break that mold with some really big wins over some big marquee names. I mean, I think his biggest win to date is against Darby Allin. So maybe
Yeah.
we need some more guys in that conversation to really feed him. I know Shibata, he's definitely a great Ring of Honor talent. I mean, he hasn't really done much for the company since coming to AEW, but maybe that'll change in the future. But he needs some big names to go up against to really bring out the best in Jack Perry for guys like myself. I want to see him get to that main event level where he goes after the world championship and wins. So hopefully they can get him there. Maybe with, like I said, with some big names over some big names. I mean, you have a lot of talent there, so it shouldn't be hard to do. You have Adam Cole there
Yeah.
now. You have MJF in there. You have these big names. So why not use it to help elevate your mid card division? Because for being honest, that TNT Championship hasn't really felt like it meant anything since Christian Cage was holding it. Because when he's holding it, he made that title feel prestigious. People were lining up to take that title from him. So I want the TNT title to kind of get back to what it once was, with the title that people were fighting for. You have so much history with Christian and Cody and Darby. Like, these were some titles that people were fighting for, and now it just seems like it's just a prop for his character. That's my problem
Yeah.
with the whole TNT title right now.
It's a situation of the man not making the title making the man. 100%. Jack Perry, I agree with you. A lot of people are very anti Jack Perry. There's a lot of people that are anti CM Punk. There's a lot of people that don't really give a flying fuck. I am a fan of both guys.
Same.
That's it. I like Jack Perry. I think what he's been able to do, he's like the age old saying says, turn chicken shit to chicken salad. You know what I mean? Like he took this whole big stigma and all this controversy and he turned it into the scapegoat and he ran with it. He went out here and he forged his own TNT championship in his likeness. And literally, he tried to showcase that the man makes the title in a literal sense. This match fell flat for me, but
Yeah,
it's set up like you said. Danny Garcia was the person I had talked with Chano from Four Sides of the Ring last night on the Wrestledream predictions here after we did the nightcap for SmackDown. And we both said, what's next for Jack Perry? Who beats him for the TNT Championship?
right.
Daniel Garcia. But then as I'm sitting here, I'm sitting at my dinner table with Mrs. Mouthing off with Mike, and here comes Danny G. And I go, and you know what? And here's where MJF comes back. I don't even finish the sentence, Leo. And da-da-da, 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 hits. And I'm like, okay. And now I'm watching MJF beat the shit out of Danny G. And I'm like, oh, well, who could save Danny G here? I'm trying to think of names. And Adam Cole, baby.
I
So
marked out.
this was a I'm gonna keep it real for the people. I've always tried to keep it real as possible. This was a segment that belonged on Dynamite. This match belonged on Dynamite. The whole
Hmm.
Danny Garcia, MJF, Adam Cole. Imagine the Dynamite crowd popping for this. That, you know what I
They
mean?
would.
But they capitalized on this larger house that they had tonight in Tacoma. They had a great crowd tonight.
Yeah.
I have to say that. If we're gonna, get off the subject, great crowd. Did you see some of those signs tonight? Please tell me you saw some of those signs.
Some of the
Hilarious
signs.
signs. Insane.
Yeah, some of the signs, and then I think during Jack Perry and the Shibata match, people were literally singing the old Jungle Boy Jack Perry theme, which I
Yes.
laughed at. I'm like, oh, people are just so, y'all just so wrong for that. Y'all about to make this man like blow a gasket right now for doing this. Like, come on
Nah,
now.
dude. It was a funky finish,
Yeah.
and you knew something funky had to happen here for this one. Any thoughts here? Now it looks like Danny Garcia wants the TNT championship, but MJF wants him, and Adam Cole wants MJF. So is the order of operations that Danny Garcia goes with Jack Perry, MJF and Adam Cole figure out this
I think
long-awaited
so.
beef that we've been putting off for over a year? almost
Mhm.
year and a half.
I think so because I feel like the story is really with Adam Cole and MJF. I mean, going back to when they were tag team champs for Ring of Honor, then the whole Devil storyline, which is something I'm very vocal about. That storyline fell flat because it changed everything with Adam Cole's injury. Then when Wardlow not being seen since then, I think they say he's dealing with an injury. Then now I think we knew that Adam Cole was going to come back, and I think he was going to be as a face because a couple weeks ago we seen the Undisputed Kingdom turn face. So I knew it wasn't too far behind that we see a MJF come back in the fold, and then Adam Cole not too far after as a face. Now at first I was thinking we are probably going to see MJF as the face and Adam Cole as the heel,
Mm.
but then when we seen him come back, I think right after couple of months ago, he turned heel again. So in my mind, I knew when Adam Cole come back, he is going to be a face and he's going to get a big reaction. And I knew for some reason, I had a feeling if it's a big show, he could be returning. And I threw on the black and gold for the black and gold champion of NXT. And he came out and I completely lost it. I really lost it. Hearing Adam Cole come out there, I lost it. I feel like I'm 10 years old again, just having a fun
The
time. Just
feeling has been restored. The
exactly,
feeling
yeah,
was restored tonight. No, it was great to see Adam Cole, baby. The crowd was happy as hell to see him. He got
yeah.
one of the loudest pops here tonight in Tacoma, Washington, outside of the Washington natives of Darby, Swerve, and Danielson. Yeah, great overall segment, but I just felt that for the sake of time, because like I said, it's midnight. It's 12:30 right now on the East Coast. I don't know where you're at, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm glad that you're here with Leo and I on the Nightcap on Boom Broadcasting. You could be anywhere else in the world. You could be dreaming. You could be having sweet wrestle dreams right now while we're talking about Wrestledream. But I agree. Good stuff. Dynamite segment from me, Leo.
Yeah.
That's where I fall with this. We got match of the year. This is a match of the year, Leo. It's going to be talked about. It could be cut. It could be in there. You got Will Ospreay defending the international championship against Ricochet, Konosuke Takeshita, and we've got a new international champion, Leo. Talk to the people here. What do you think about this one?
Um, I actually really love this match. I think I already went in this match. I went in the pay per view actually, and I was like saying this might be the match of the night and probably even match of the year. And I feel like they've exceeded my expectations. Ricochet coming into AEW from WWE making a big splash. Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, a lot of people, say he's always just one win away from doing something big, and he won the big one in the night. Um, Will Ospreay going to have his hands full with the Don Callis family going forward. I mean, losing someone he looked at as a brother and Kyle Fletcher, that's gonna sting for him. It's really gonna sting for him. But we have a new champion. I'm looking forward to see what Konosuke Takeshita's reign is gonna look like. Honestly, I did not see him winning. I thought that they probably would have dragged this out till probably like the next pay per view. Um, I honestly had Ricochet going in this one. I thought it would have been like a surprise pick that nobody would have seen coming. But that's one thing you got to expect with AW. Sometimes they'll go with something that you will not expect to come. And I thought that was going to be one of the cases here tonight, unfortunately. But definitely, I really did love this match. The the pile driver from Konosuke to Takeshita to with Ricochet through the table. I said, put up the X for him. He's done, and he didn't move a muscle after that. But with the story that was going to this match is Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family. When we seen them turn, making their official turn on Dynamite this past week, I thought that would have been saved for this show, but they definitely tied up the loose ends, and I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of stories coming out of Wrestledream. I mean, where does Will Ospreay go, and how does he feel about Kyle Fletcher turning his back on him, considering their history of being with Aussie Open and them pretty much being looked at as brothers for each other? Where does Konosuke Takeshita's reign go? How does his reign start off? Where does Ricochet go from here? Because he didn't get pinned in this match. Where does he go from here? What is his character? Because I know some people say, and I've been saying it, maybe he joins this new Hurt Syndicate.
That's a
Oh,
good
because I think
point.
this would be a great role for him to kind of really help him elevate. Because I think the one thing we can all agree, He's one of the best in the ring, but his promos have always held him back and never really did him any favors. But put him with MVP, he'll be good. He'll be good as gold.
Sky's the limit for Ricochet. That's what I've said that as well. I said I wouldn't be shocked if you see Ricochet hop over with the Hurt Syndicate or whatever this group that MVP's building. Yeah, obviously, we thought maybe we would see an almighty one here tonight, but I guess they're going to pump the brakes on that for now. This was a fantastic match. This was a match of the year. You've got Will Ospreay and Ricochet doing their classics. They're hitting all their spots. They're doing their flips, their pose offs, like Yelena from Black Widow would say, they're such posers, hitting their little pose in the middle of the ring. It was great overall. And then you have the added of Takeshita in this, where Takeshita's like, I'm not doing flips. He's pulling an FTR boys here. No flips, just fists. He's just coming in here, throwing big elbows, throwing big haymakers, big lariats, big clotheslines, wiping these guys out, putting them through tables. I thought Ricochet was going to eat the pin here, Leo. I said last night Ricochet was going to eat the pin. Logan said no, Ricochet's not going to win, eat the pin, but Takeshita's going to win. So there you go, Logan. You get a check in the box here. You called that one. Match of the year contender. Ospreay has, we know from months ago when Ospreay asked Callis to get him out of the family, and Callis was like, "You're gonna have to do me a favor." And then he does the favor where he helps Fletcher in the tag team gauntlet match. And you think, all right, Callis, that's it. Everything's clear. But you can never get out of this Don Callis family. You either get kicked out, or this is what happens, where your friend and your former partner takes a screwdriver to the back of your head and watches as Takeshita knees you in the face and takes your title, while Baldy McBaldhead stares off and holds his guy's arms up. So I would have preferred Takeshita to win the belt clean, but it, like you said, it does open the doors of now Ospreay has to battle these guys. He's got to battle his former friend, Kyle Fletcher. He's got to battle potentially Takeshita again. Ricochet. I think Ricochet is the first challenger for Takeshita. I think you got to run that. Or in the case of friends and enemies, Ospreay and Ricochet tag team against Takeshita and Fletcher. I think that's the next step in this whole convoluted. Now poor Ricochet's been sucked into the Callis family, right?
Tag team titles.
Maybe. That'd be an interesting move to have Ospreay and Ricochet win the tag titles from a team that I thought was losing tonight.
I'm going to talk about it when we get there. I will say that.
We're going to talk about it. But let's talk about the hometown man making his grand return here. Whose house?
Swerve's house.
Not what I expected here tonight, Leo. Little bit confused. He had me in the first half. That's the best way I can say this. I thought Swerve was turning on Prince Nana, but he doesn't turn his back on family.
Right.
So it looks like he's going to feud with MVP and Shelton Benjamin and this new group he's building. But what the only reason this makes any sense is why we do this is because it's Swerve's hometown. That's it.
Yeah.
It felt out of place. Like, once again, this and a few other things on this could have been reorganized, or I don't know, done a Dynamite in Washington this week, so then Swerve could have his hometown moment. I don't know. Well, however you want to, I'm not the booker. I'm not the tour booker either. But I don't know. This was awkward for me, but it advanced the story, but also felt out of place on a $50 pay-per-view tonight.
Yeah. It did what it needed to do. You had him in his hometown. I think that's one thing. And definitely with the story that they're trying to build between this Hurt Syndicate and Swerve. I think I like the fact that they kind of tease that there could be some tension, but him kind of just nipping in the butt. He says, I don't turn my back on family. And he talks about, the different things, his struggles, how his house got burned down, him losing his title and stuff like that. Those were some gripes that he had, but he also said that he never would have gotten to those points in his life where he would be able to, become a world champion and buy his childhood home if it wasn't for Prince Nana. So I think, he has some respect and he has love and admiration for everything he's done, not just on a professional level in the wrestling business, but like outside of the ring on a personal level as well. So I think that there is that close bond that those two guys have. Maybe we can potentially see a Prince Nana step back in the ring because they kind of did tease that between him and the MVP. People forget Prince Nana competed in the WWE a long time ago.
He said a long time ago. That's true. Prince Nana reminded everyone of that on Dynamite a couple weeks. He said, "I wasn't just the manager. I was a wrestler at one point." He was ready to lock it up with MVP, and then that's when we got good old Shelton Benjamin showing up. A little ain't no stopping me now. Who we also saw tonight while we're on the subject of seeing people on the 0 hour. Rico showed up here tonight with the Maximum, the MXM collection. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was something. I thought I laughed. I thought I was entertained with it. That was another wild moment that took place tonight on this pay per view. Um,
Yeah, that's
I
something. I
did
didn't see
not
that
see
coming.
that one
That
coming.
wasn't on
Did
my
not
bingo
see
card.
that one coming. No, no, not at all. When they said third man, I'm like, oh, it's Dijak. All right. And here comes Rico doing the "You look so good tonight" to me. Oh my God. I was like, Rico, daddy ass, call him back to the Billy and Chuck tag team. 20 years ago, Leo, 20 years ago that was. That's quite some time. A lot of things have changed since then. Um, let's
Definitely.
uh let's talk about 2 out of 3 falls, Hologram and the Beast Mordos. And Leo, I'm a big Hologram and Beast Mordos guy, but tonight for some reason this didn't click for me.
Nah. And I'm with you on that one too because I'm a fan of both of these guys. I think both have unlimited amounts of potential. Hologram, I mean, the guy has been on fire since coming in. I mean, 14-0. And then he wins on his first pay-per-view, I think. I think the guy's the future, the Beast Mordos. The guy is a beast for a reason. The guy can do things that you would not expect him to. Um, I it's just something about it. Like you said, the match did not click. And with that being said, as much as I like these guys, as much as I'm entertained by them and what they provide, this match didn't need to be on the main card, in my personal opinion, based off what we did get for these two. If that was going to be the case, if this was the match that we were going to get, they probably should have started this on the pre-show or the 0 hour if this was going to be the match we were going to be presented. Because if we're going to be getting this main card, we need these big matches. We're going to need, and granted, there's always going to be that one or two match that's not going to be on par with a lot of the other matches. It's okay. That's part of just how the show runs. But this just didn't click for me as far as me being entertained by both guys, and both have been known to give you great matches. Look at the Beast Mordos and the match that he had with Ricochet. That was a
Facts.
great match. So I was thinking we were going to get something along the lines of a match like that. And unfortunately, we did not get that. Um, they've been kind of teasing this feud because this has been taking place on Collision
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get another match like this, and maybe it'll be just as good because I don't think the feud between the two is over just yet. But maybe the
No.
next time they do have an encounter, the match is a little bit better for me.
So here's the thing about this is that I've watched their matches, the last couple matches that these guys have had on Collision. They've been phenomenal. They were some of the some phenomenal matches. It's just like
Hmm.
I don't know if the bright lights of the pay-per-view, and I don't mean the literal lights. I'm talking just being on the pay-per-view, being on a pay-per-view, the first time being in AEW, being on the main card of a pay-per-view. If you know, for my sports fans out there, it's like when a player comes from a small city to the Yankees and they suck. When A-Rod first came to the Yankees and he was
Hmm.
awful and being fans were
Yep.
get him out of here. It was like one of those things where it's like they got into the bright lights and it's like they forgot their chemistry tonight. Because there was there was some
Yeah.
great wrestling in this match. There was some great lucha libre. There was some great chain wrestling here. There was some great high impact moves from Hologram, some from Beast Mortals. But then there was like this element at certain points where it was like they were trying to pace themselves out for the 2 out of 3 falls match because they didn't want to give everything at the go. But like when we got to the go at the end is when the match really started to mesh. Had they stayed in that gear after the first fall and went through that gear through the end of the second fall, I think I'm talking about this in a more highly light. Don't get it
Yeah.
wrong. Good match. But like, I think you're right, Leo. If hindsight's 2020, we knew this was the match, I think then you got to relegate this to the 0 hour, and it's no slack to the performers because they're some of the best in the world right now. It
Yeah.
would just felt like something was off here.
Yeah, it was missing something. Yeah. They
Missed
needed
something.
something.
There was a gear that they couldn't get kicked into for some reason. And I don't know if it was just placement. Like I said, I would have flipped this with the triple threat for the international championship. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a few matches that would have flipped. To be honest, I would have flipped I would
The
have
Ring
put
of
that.
Honor.
Yeah, I mean, you could have flipped that out here. Like I would have. I mean, honest, anything could have co-main evented other than the Ring of Honor championship. There's no reason.
Easily.
I like Chris Jericho. I like the learning tree. I've leaned into it, but there's no reason that in the year of 2024 that not only one, and I love Mark Briscoe, but not only one that Chris Jericho's co-main eventing the show, but number two is that the Ring of Honor World Championship is co-main eventing the show. That's the
I don't
other kind
understand
of.
it. I don't understand that. I really don't.
We're going to have to talk to Tony Khan. Tony Khan, if you hear this, let's talk a little bit. I got to ask you about thought processes on match card placement because I know nobody's asking those questions in the post game press conferences. They're asking silly questions about other companies. You know about that
Yeah,
press
they like to be
conferences. Leo.
petty. They're
Yeah. They
petty.
like to ask the stupid questions and they don't want to ask good questions. I would like go into that press conference and ask Tony Khan, what is your thought process when you put together these match cards? Why does a match like Willow and Mariah go number 2 in the match on the card, where a match like the Ring of Honor World Championship goes in the co-main event? Or why are we doing this instead of this here? Like, I want to hear his thought process because maybe I'd understand a little bit better as a fan consuming it. Hey, whatever, I can turn my brain off and watch it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's as someone who talks a little bit about the yaps about the graps, as my friends over at Black Mass Constellations like to say. I left this with some more questions than answers for things, which I guess is a good thing in wrestling, but not for everything. Like that's not the right one. Like Darby Allin and Brody King here. Rivalry renewed for the sake of expelling old demons here, Leo. Darby Allin never pinned Brody King. Gets his first pinfall tonight in a good match. This was a good match. Another match.
Definitely.
I'd flip around on this card, but good match. What do you think here? This is the Darby Allin rebuild tour.
I really do. I think if you look at the main event, they're telling some things, and which I'll probably explain later. But this is the redemption arc of Darby Allin. We see him kind of go through some tough times. I mean, we seen him lose his opportunity to Jon Moxley. This could be his way of rebuilding himself brick by brick by brick by brick until he gets back to the top where he once was. And then now, the moment that he does become champion, the ride that we've been all on from day one up until now will mean a lot more. So I think him having a match that he did, that spot where he did the coffin drop on Brody King, who was on a steel step, I was scared for him because every time he tries to go for that coffin drop, somebody just moves out the way. He goes through something. It happened with Jack Perry, and he went through some glass, and he went through a coffin. It's like he's always just putting himself in bad situations.
Still has the scar. Still has the scar from the glass on his right side too.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh boy, Brody King is about to move out the way, and he's about to completely just break his back off completely.
That's it.
But this match was definitely brutal. And I don't know what they're doing. I feel like maybe they're turning Brody King and the House of Black ultimately face based on how he was displaying a show of respect. And usually when a character or a wrestler does that, that's usually telling that they're going to be turning face very, very soon. And I think that's the direction they could potentially take Brody King and the rest of the House of Black going forward.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know if the House of Black will be a thing soon. I have this weird feeling that the House of Black, just the way Brody King came out, he didn't wear all black. He had camo on. It wasn't like the typical presentation for Brody King that you're used to seeing when he's, kind of even still just affiliated with the House of Black. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna break Brody King away and put him in a title picture, in a singles title picture for a
Maybe
little
as a
bit.
babyface, yeah.
Maybe as a babyface. I mean, could be. I mean, I think it was also a sign of respect. These guys have wrestled 8 times. This is the 8th time. They've wrestled so many times, different companies, independents, AEW. Obviously, Tony Schiavone and the commentators signaled out the Royal Rampage when Brody choked him, dangling his legs, above the
Yeah.
ring side to eliminate him. So this was a good one. But once again, pacing of the show for me was off. It was like
This could have been a
needed
good
this in a different spot. Needed this in a
yeah.
different spot. And you could tell the crowd as we're starting to dwindle down with these matches, they're starting to get gassed. The energy shifts. They tap into the reserves, I feel, during the triple threat match. And as a fan who's gone to AEW shows that go a little bit long, thankfully I've been to most of them where they were on the West Coast, so it was 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock my time. But for the East Coast, for this tonight was in Washington. For those fans, they were pretty happy. They were there maybe since 3 o'clock. They're out by 9 o'clock. That's not bad. That's 6 hours. It's not awful. But if you're on the East Coast, you're watching this. It's midnight. It's 1 o'clock right now, especially if you're hanging with us on the nightcap. So as much as you need Darby on the pay-per-view in his hometown, should have been somewhere else, I think. I think there's a few matches like that. Like this next match that we're going to talk about, Leo. The World Tag Team Championship match with the Young Bucks, the EVPs defending against Private Party, a match 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
That we're all expecting Private Party to fucking win, but they don't. They don't win. And I'm actually kind of salty about this. From a
I
fan
don't blame you.
perspective, and from just being a fan of Private Party, and
Yeah.
I don't like this decision.
I think I am definitely in agreement with you. I think what I think about this is if their run for the last 5 years, they haven't really done much, right? They've kind of been almost utility players, been in the background, never really been in the forefront. Um, I think this moment, what they just took in their careers, I think it's the moment of many. I think with this being like their second match, I believe, I think we'll get back. I think this is what you do. You have them lose tonight, which they did. You use as momentum, as fire to be better coming out of this, right? Go through the roster, work your way back to the titles. And then I think, honestly, I do think the Private Party are going to be the ones to take the titles from the Young Bucks. I don't think that it will be over. I think maybe they'll circle back around to this. Maybe, well, we still have
Full
the
Gear.
rest of this year. Maybe more like Revolution around
Oh,
March.
don't. Oh my God. So you mean to tell
Because
me you think the Young Bucks are going to hold these tag titles for a little bit longer? Because I can't. I have no interest in seeing them as tag champs.
I don't either, but I think, well, if I have to pick, it'll probably be World's End, which is December, or
I'll come with you on the middle on that. I am mad at
like
December.
December-ish, because I think you can have Private
I
Party,
think
try to work their way back to the titles, right? I mean, they did beat them the first time around. Then the Young Bucks beat them here for the
mm,
titles. So now you're 1-1. If you're gonna do a best of three, you gotta break it here. So I think maybe you do have them face in another match. Maybe it's a one-on-one match like they did tonight, because they absolutely killed it. They really did.
no, they looked
This this right here,
fantastic.
this was a star-making moment for both guys, as people who are not familiar who what Private Party are capable of doing. This is going to build a lot of momentum. You've seen how Isaiah was just in distraught and in disbelief and hurt because he lost, and the crowd were just chanting their name. Now this is really getting more people behind him, but it's up to AEW. It is up to the booking team. It is up to Tony Khan to, on Wednesday, continue this momentum, continue building them up, Continue giving them feuds and matches to build up their credibility. Give them a win over FTR. Give them a win over Acclaim, both former AEW World Tag Team Champions. And then when you get back to this at a World's End, maybe you can have another match like there was tonight, or maybe you want to do a stipulation. Some people like this stipulation to be used. Maybe you do a ladder match. I think
Maybe.
both of these guys, all four of these guys can really kill it in a ladder match. I'm just saying it. But they're already kind of teasing their next feud with it being Top Flight.
Top
Because we
Flight.
seen Top Flight sitting out there. We kind of already have an indication that they are going to be the next challengers. And then maybe after that, maybe they'll have another feud with someone else, maybe like the Outrunners, since they've been also been building up some momentum. And then maybe when you finish with those two, you could circle back to Private Party where they finally get the win. And it's always like they say, sometimes chasing the title is better than winning it. Sometimes
Mm,
just having the chase, having the crowd really amping for you to really win that title. And when you do, it's a really big moment. We look at it just recently, as recent as Jey Uso. People have been
true.
wanting for years. He's been chasing and chasing and chasing to where he finally did win the title. And what happened? That moment was so huge. It was an enormous pop. People went crazy for it. And I think the same thing could be replicated with Private Party. But like I said, it really comes down to the booking and really just having a follow up for them. If you can have a follow up to where they can keep their momentum and keep building their momentum, then I can see them circling back and winning the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the next go round for sure.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I like where your head's at. I think Top Flight is next up. I don't know if they go Outrunners yet. I think that's a possibility. What I do think is that here's what we forgot. Full Gear is in New Jersey. Private Party are from New York. They could get them for the home crowd, home area reaction at Full Gear. So I think no matter what, I have this feeling Full Gear is going to be the destination. I think Private Party will do it, in New York, New Jersey, obviously Jersey being in Newark. But man, how deflating though, because I think most fans did not think the Bucks, including good brother Jordan, who you've seen on Mouthing Off with Mike. Much love, good brother. The Bucks needed the win. No, they did
They
not need
didn't.
this
I didn't
win.
want them to win
Um,
either.
and another one, like, hear me out. Switch this with Willow and Mariah. Put this at number 2. This would have been a good follow up for Hangman. Put the women, and then flip Chris Jericho before the women, so the crowd's like, oh, okay, do what they got to do. As my good brothers at Four Sides of the Ring will say, get their margaritas, the margarita match, and then you come back in, you lock in, you get to see that hell of a match with Willow and Mariah. I'm gonna keep saying it. Shout out to the fan with the give us more women's wrestling, Tony.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
saw
that
that.
was me. That if I was there, I would have had that side too. Overall, great showing from Private Party. It's got to happen for them someday. It's got to happen soon, Leo. We need it. The people need it. Yeah, here's the co-main event we keep talking about. You've heard us say it 1,001 times throughout the last 40 minutes. Mark Briscoe, Chris Jericho, a feud based upon the fact that Jericho decided to push Briscoe's buttons and talk about his brother, get into some personal stuff, and then Jericho ended up getting put through a table and losing to the J Driller. So karma's a bitch, Chris Jericho, and tonight that karma was named Mark Briscoe. He retains the Ring of Honor Championship. I am in the position of, if you're gonna have Mark Briscoe on AEW Weekly, get the Ring of Honor World Championship off of Mark Briscoe and put it back on Ring of Honor. We have too many singles and mid-card titles here, Leo, and a trios title that we're not seeing. We're not seeing these things take place. You've got a whole Continental Championship that Okada barely defends. You've got the TNT Championship with Jack Perry. You've got the International Championship now with Takeshita Takeshita. I don't think we need the Ring of Honor World Championship or the Ring of Honor TV title tonight. Congrats to Brian Cage, though. Super underrated. And he beat Atlantis Jr. in the 0 Hour. But this is a dynamite match right here. This is a collision match. What
Yeah,
was the point of this?
I don't understand this. Like, and I've been saying this for months. I am not a fan of this Chris Jericho character. I am not. This is literally the worst character I've seen Chris Jericho come up with in its illustrious career. We've had so many different characters. We had the Painmaker. We had the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla. Like, I loved seeing Chris Jericho in 2008 when he was wearing the suits and was world champion.
Oh
And we
god,
went from
short-haired
that
Jericho was a fucking menace.
we went from that to this. And the Ring of Honor title didn't need to be defended. Like you said, we have so many titles. We just recently got rid of the FTW title. And then now, when he just because we got the FTW title out there, oh, the Ring of Honor title is gonna replace the FTW title on these pay-per-views. Like you said, get rid of that Ring of Honor title, keep it on Ring of Honor, and then you could have literally easily had this be one of the trios championship matches. Just think about if you would have Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly and had those three go up against the Learning Tree for the trios championships. I would have been more inclined to that than this.
Yeah.
Because why are we using Ring of Honor on this show? You barely promote it as it is. So all of a sudden, because you're not really promoting it as you should be, you're putting this on a title. And why was it the co-main event?
Yeah,
Somebody else,
what can we what
what
the
are we
what I
doing?
all right. Listen, here's the only reason I think it co-main evented. I think it co-main evented because of Mark Briscoe. I don't necessarily think it co-main evented because of Chris Jericho. I think they wanted to give Mark Briscoe a cool moment on an AEW pay-per-view, which I like. I respect the hell
I
out of them for
respect
that.
that.
But in the year of 2024, there was
He's not
no
there.
reason for Chris Jericho to be co-main eventing this show because at the end of the day, you're not gonna like. I'm an AEW fan, folks, so I don't need pitchforks and fire at my on my timeline tonight. It's too late for the shenanigans. But this to me felt like I paid $50 to watch a long dynamite. At
I mean,
certain matches, Leo. I'm not saying everything, but certain
I'm gonna be
matches
even
tonight felt
better.
like I paid $50 to watch an AEW dynamite.
This felt like I'm watching just a 3 hour episode of Rampage seeing this on here. I don't.
Listen, could have put Mercedes in this spot. Could have put the Ring of Honor World Title match on Dynamite. Could have put it last week on Dynamite. Could have done the trios championships with Wheeler, Claudio, and Pac against, like you said, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy. While we're even on the subject of Orange Cassidy, he had a great little promo with Jerry Lynn, and Hook was there. Jerry Lynn thinks Orange Cassidy could be a big deal, so they're
He is.
poising up. They're poising him up to the top spot soon. So why is this
Kyle O'Reilly
of
too.
all the talent, your co-main event here tonight? Was it
And it's
because
crazy.
Tony Khan was like, all right, I know everybody's gonna go take a piss during the Jericho match, so I'll give people a shot before the main event? Or was it
I don't
Tony
know.
Khan was scared to put the international championship here as the Kona main event and was like, I got to figure out how I can space this out so that my triple threat match doesn't outshine my massive world title match and my world title storyline that I'm setting up. So I don't know. There's obviously with being the booker of the show, Tony Khan is the only one that knows, but very confusing here. Co-main event.
It's really just wild, and it's just like why? Because you could have literally put this on a Dynamite. You could have put this on a Rampage. You could have put it in a Collision. This was not co-main event worthy. This is pretty much AEW telling you these are pretty much your biggest story outside of the main event. That's what they're telling you.
Yeah.
They're telling you this is
And that's
bigger
not
than the women's match. They're telling you this is bigger than the tag team division. This is not that. It's
no.
not. And like you said, they're building up Orange Cassidy. If you did see a little bit of the show as well, they're positioning Kyle O'Reilly's too because now that's going to be Okada's probably next
Right.
feud for that title, which is
Good
going to be a
point.
good match. But we know Kyle O'Reilly is not going to beat Kazuchika Okada. We know that's not going to happen. We know AEW is not going to have enough faith to put a lot of stock into making him a big like single star. Does he have what it takes? Absolutely. Go watch the feud that he had with Adam Cole in NXT for anybody that hasn't watched it. We know what he's capable of doing. The match he had with Finn Balor, his breakout moment. He's going to have a good match with Okada. I believe that. But I don't believe that they
He'll
see
beat Okada.
as a he's going to beat him. And I don't believe they have a lot of faith into him carrying that title. How I see it, they're literally having that title on autopilot until they can probably get Kenny Omega back.
I was going to say, even with the Kenny Omega thing, they're putting that title on autopilot just for the mere sake of just going to the next Continental tournament, in my personal belief. I think Okada will be the Continental champion until the next tournament comes in the summer or whenever the hell they do it. I forgot. I think it's like the summer, maybe. I don't see
Yeah,
anybody
something
beating
like that.
Okada. Maybe Kenny Omega, maybe,
Kota
someone wild.
Ibushi.
Maybe if he's healthy, that's another name out there. They they love to get Ibushi in the mix. But yeah, man, when
I
like
don't
you
see
said,
that
that's
roster.
such a man. That's why I said you're one of the brightest minds, man. You said it. They made the Ring of Honor Championship feel more important than a bunch of their other singles titles, their tag team division, their
Your
trios
women's.
division, and your women's division by putting the Ring of Honor World Championship as this co-main event spot. I mean, it's not that deep. We're not like doom and gloom on it, but it's like confusing because we all know that that's not that's not the spot here. We watched an incredible women's match. We watched a really good, and I give the moderately aged Bucks, the midlife crisis Bucks, a lot of credit. They
Yeah.
put on a hell of a match tonight. It was not their normal copy paste match, Leo. I
Hmm.
would have even argued that could have been the but hey, nevertheless, I'm rambling on about it. Let's talk. Let's get into it. Let's break it down. This main event here tonight, and what we saw, as now we know, the final match of Bryan Danielson's career. Potentially, we saw this man get curb stomped with a chair wrapped around his neck after being asphyxiated with a plastic bag. Break it down, Leo.
I mean, this was attempt number 2 of attempted murder on live television. I mean,
He's kind of bad at murder if it takes you twice to try to murder a guy, right? I mean,
I think this match was really good. The story between these two. I mean, if you think about it, I was one of the main people calling John Moxley as the guy that's going to take the title. As soon as Bryan Danielson won the title, and and, and you already kind of foretold what was going to happen because you had all of the Blackpool celebrating with him when he wanted it all in. The one guy that was not there, John Moxley. Fast
mm-hmm.
forward, like the very next Dynamite, he shows up, and I've been saying this. It made sense, despite what people think. It made sense for John Moxley to win it. Why? Because he is a heel. For one,
Yeah.
with him being coming back as a heel, granted, he was supposed to be a heel 2 years ago, but he stepped away because he went into the rehabilitation program. So that kind of pushed a lot of the AEW's plans as far as tweaking his character on hold for a while. They couldn't do it immediately when they came back because people were going to be excited to see him. So they had to wait until the possible opportune time to do so. And when he came back as a heel, it made sense because now, if you're going to establish John Moxley, this new iteration of John Moxley as a heel, if you're going to establish this new iteration of the Blackpool Combat Cup as a serious threat, as a group to be taken seriously, you need to establish the guy that's running things, and that's John
Mm-hmm.
Moxley. If you're going to establish him in the best way possible, you have to have him as your champion. We see a lot of times in a lot of actions they fail to establish the characters because they're losing matches that they should be winning. If you're establishing him as a big main event guy, this is his 4th time being a world champion. And
Yeah.
now this is going to be create a lot of compelling stories because if you look at a lot of the people that came out there after the match was over, you've seen Adam Cole out there, you've seen Hook, you've seen Jeff Jarrett,
Private Party.
the Private Party,
Darby.
those 6 guys. You see that you're already compelling stories for John Moxley. Those are 6 guys you can potentially set up world title matches for in during his reign. Right now, I don't like to make comparisons, but John Moxley as your world champion, we could potentially seeing the new coming of the Reign of Terror. This could be the
Mm.
second coming of the Reign of Terror, where people want him to lose that match, and he is People thought he was going to lose. He didn't. This is the thing I be telling people. Do not bet against Jon Moxley. You can never bet against Jon
He's
Moxley.
the ace.
And
He's the ace
he's
of
the
AEW.
ace. He is the go-to guy. He's been the go-to guy for years. And the reason I called Jon Moxley winning is from the reasons that I already were named. Bryan Danielson is hurt. He recently talked about in the interview.
He is
He's
hurt.
been
He is in
dealing
bad shape.
He's been dealing with neck issues and back issues to the point it keeps him up at night, to the point he can't even sleep. How are you going to potentially put all that stress on the guy that's already dealing with that as it is as your world champion? It's not going to do anything in the long run. But him taking time off and getting healthy, he comes back and maybe he has another run, because he did say when he did hang up the boots, he doesn't mean he's hanging up the boots forever. He could
Forever.
still do a part-time schedule. He could still come back and compete against Jon Moxley in a one-off, and then maybe Jon Moxley can win again, or maybe you have Bryan Danielson win and he holds it for maybe a couple of weeks and then drops it to another guy. But this
Yeah.
right here, going back to what I said earlier with Darby Allin, he lost it against Jon Moxley. And I think you can build up Darby Allin going through some guys throughout the ranks, some big names like your Okadas, your maybe some Jack Perrys and stuff like that.
Your
You can have them go,
Hangmans.
your Hangmans, your Swerves possibly. I mean, with your Jay Whites as well. Have him go up, even your Orange Cassidy, even if it's a one-off, or maybe even Adam Copeland. Have him go through some guys like that. And I think we build this story, we build this narrative, we circle back around to this, and you have Darby Allin be the guy to take down Jon Moxley and become world champion next. That's how I think this is going to play out. I think the end goal is to put that title on Darby Allin. What they're doing is playing long-term storytelling. He lost his match that he was supposed to have with Bryan Danielson. Now he has to go through redemption. Now he has to
Yeah.
go through hell and high water to get back to where he once was. He was trying to get back there. He's gonna have to go through some adversity. This is the same thing that happened with Cody Rhodes. People wanted him to win so much. He had to go through adversity. It took about a year, but he got back there, and the moment was worth it. The ride was worth to getting to the destination. This is what we're doing. This is a roller coaster of a ride we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go through so many stops before we reach the ultimate destination, and that is him winning. And I guarantee you now, when he does win that title, that crowd is going to lose their minds, because now you look back on everything that's happened, and now we can honestly say the ride was worth getting to the destination.
I like it, Leo. Now, yeah, I think that's the best plan of attack for this. I personally would have liked to see Darby and Danielson. I personally would have liked to see Darby beat Danielson in Washington, in their home state. There's so many factors there that could have came into play. But you're right. You need to have a heel. It made all the sense in the world for Moxley to win tonight. I even said last night on the prediction episode, begrudgingly, that Moxley was going to win because of what you said. The health condition of Bryan Danielson has deteriorated. He needs surgery. He needs time off. That you gotta, and I know wrestling fans, I know it is hard to remember that these are real life human beings. They're not superheroes. As much as you forget and you think, man, these guys and gals are going out there, 300 something days a year putting on for our entertainment. The bodies take a beating. Danielson has been going nonstop on this tour. Nonstop matches on the weekly shows, matches on pay-per-views, matches in Japan, matches in Mexico, matches here, matches everywhere. And the body finally gave out. And I saw the writing on the wall when I saw that report that Danielson was probably going to drop the title. The guy was wrestling without a contract. The guy was doing a favor, really, for Tony Khan here. And it's great to have his name in the history books as a AEW world champion, as a former champion tonight. But now the question remains for you, Leo. Here's where things get interesting. Logan also thinks Tanahashi's going to beat Okada. That's a name. That's an interesting name thrown out there. That's a very interesting one. But Logan also throws out Team AEW versus Team Jon Moxley or Shane McMahon. That right there, all of the AEW originals. And Jeff Jarrett, he's been there for a while, whatever. We'll call him an original. All of them come out at the end to save Bryan Danielson. right?
Yeah,
Right?
something.
All of these names come out, and then you have all the Blackpool Combat Club. Got to give credit to Marina Shafir here tonight. MVP ringside, causing chaos, getting ejected. Great little spot for her tonight. Get the rub from the big title fight. But now you've got this Blackpool Combat Club. Wheeler Yuta has shown his true colors. That son of a bitch, obviously.
I knew it was gonna happen. I mean,
I knew it. Yeah.
and then even the spot that just literally just was looked like it was the beginning of the end for Danielson when he took that paradigm shift on the outside with the exposed
Nah,
mats.
there was too many the spots on the neck, man. They must have told Danielson like, "Hey, your neck's pretty effed up, so we're good. Like you could just take whatever
It
you
was
want." It had to be.
Moxie was really using attempted murder throughout the entire match in first degree, not second degree, not third degree, first degree murder.
First,
Like you said earlier, they need to be locked up.
that shit was
So
premeditated.
yeah, they've been planning it out for months apparently. But going back to what you Logan was saying with the team with AW stuff, I think you have some of the originals go up against this team Blackpool Combat Club or whatever, and then you can have like a team captain or like authority figure because like to do that. You can have a Tony Khan being on the side of like the originals. You have Shane McMahon make his debut at
That's
some
been the
point,
rumblings, right?
and
We've
then
been hearing a
he's
lot of
the
these
one pulling
rumblings.
the strings behind this whole stuff because they never really like did a follow up. John Moxley says, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. But
Yeah,
we don't know why is John Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club doing this?
right.
What is their motive? Who's
Who's
behind
the
this?
string puller?
Is there
Who's
a
the puppeteer?
mastermind? Because we know
Exactly.
John Moxley. Yes, he can be a mastermind, but he's always been the unhinged lunatic that's always just going out there and just causing havoc. That's what we know him best for. But who is the guy pulling the strings behind the closed doors?
It's gotta be him. Now here's where things get a little bit interesting. They kept talking about it tonight on commentary during the match. Um the Moxley speaking in riddles thing, right? We've heard that a lot now these last couple of weeks. Moxley's talking in these riddles of this unknown figure that's pulling the strings and the inner workings. And then tonight, immediately he wins the title. He does not hold the title up. He doesn't hold it up. They put it in a duffel bag and zip it up. They put this away. They hide the AEW World Championship. They put it in a duffel bag and they take it out of there after they literally kill Brian Danielson with that chair curb stomp by Claudio, which holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
The crowd went from elated to
energetic to
deflated
just
in like that at the drop of a dime. I've never seen a AEW social media is even tweeting that they're not posting the video of the post-match attack due to its graphic nature. You had Excalibur fucking crying on commentary selling this. But why? What was the significance of hiding away the AEW championship unless there's some sort of brand split, brand warfare, new authority figure with this Shane McMahon, or as my good brother Nick Ram from Four Sides calls him, Shane Elite. There's a bigger angle here at play. And I, for one, Leo mentioned it, long-term storytelling with Darby getting to the title. Darby is going to get that title, Leo. And you know what's going to
yeah,
happen as soon as Darby holds that title up and he's ready to celebrate?
Christian Cage.
Christian Cage will take that title from Darby Allin and will do it all over again. And then Darby will finally do it. Everything will come full. I have to give credit where credit is due. Tony Khan is coming full circle with a lot of stories that went in a lot of different directions. Darby and Christian had a very vicious rivalry for a bit there with Nick Wayne involved. Obviously, we had Moxley with Darby. We
Danielson, yeah.
had Moxley with Danielson. We've got Christian in the mix. So everything's coming full circle. Private Party and the Young Bucks came full circle now. So I got to give credit where credit is due. The people that say Tony Khan can't do long-term storytelling,
He's doing
he
it.
can do it. He's doing it. He's done it multiple times this year. So that's it, right? Love this. No one's talking about the title being put in the bag. Dami, why would you we've heard Moxley say he's doing this, but not for himself. If it was up to him, he wouldn't have attacked Danielson. He wouldn't have came for Danielson, but he's obligated to come for Danielson. Why would you win a championship and immediately put it in a duffel bag? Hide it away. Like, you don't want to be seen with the AEW logo, with the AEW belt. Something is in the mix here. Commentary picked it up. I picked it up from watching them shove it in the duffel bag and then hearing commentary go, why they put the belt in a bag? No one had an answer. Everyone was like, well, no one's talking about this. So I'm glad that, we could talk about it because it needs to be talked about. That's a little detail.
They have to have some type of
Devils are in the
Dynamite.
details.
Definitely going to need some answers from Dynamite.
Maybe Mox pulls out a new title. Maybe, I don't know if they're going to do spray painted with the Mox logo, that crazy logo he has.
Kind of like what they did with the NWO.
Right. Maybe they're going to do something like that with how the NWO and how CM Punk had the real world title. Maybe this is going to be the Blackpool world title or something. There's so many different facets here. And of course, the overarching rumor of Shane McMahon. Could it be him pulling the strings? Maybe he's taken over Ring of Honor. Maybe that's why we're seeing the Ring of Honor world title be on Dynamite or on Wrestledream. Maybe that's why we've seen it on Dynamite and been showcased more. They got a new TV deal. There's so many different details here. But for me, the biggest detail of everything was putting that title in the bag. He's not Orange Cassidy. That's an Orange Cassidy move. Puts the title in the backpack, right? That's not a Moxley thing. That was never a Moxley thing. Why a duffel bag? Something's there. There's something there. I guess we'll have to tune into Dynamite to find out. Leo, overall, I don't like star ratings. I know we've had conversations in the past. We've done prediction episodes. We've done collabs, and we've talked about how silly star ratings can be because wrestling's all, opinionated and subjective to each their own. But let's talk about it. We're in Washington. What do they got? They got is that Seattle, right? They got the Space Needle, right? What else is Washington known for? They got trees, good coffee, good coffee. So, let's go. Out of 5 Space Needles, what would you rate Wrestledream tonight?
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. I'm gonna give it 3.5 out of 5 Space Needles. I think there were some misses here.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were parts of this card that were thrown together at the 11th hour. And I think this is now the second time I've said this. This is now the second card where the women have went on second. Mariah and Tony went on second and All In. Now Mariah goes on second against Willow here tonight. Pacing of matches, match card placement. That's where my point deductions come into.
Yeah.
Pacing was all over the place. Like my heart was going up.
Yeah. I think mine comes from the Ring of Honor being co-main event, and then like some of the matches, the placement, like you said. But I think outside of that, I think the match quality for some of these matches was
fantastic,
decent and good. That's why I gave it a 4. But I think the placement for some of them kind of took it down for me. And then the fact that we had the Ring of Honor title match literally being pretty much shoved down our throats at this point, because it seems like it's always on these pay-per-views when it doesn't need to be. Over your AEW titles, it's just like I said earlier, you're making it feel like it's more important than your tag team division, your trios division, your women's division. Like, you're saying that this title holds more weight and has more invest than your other titles.
And it's not even one of your titles. It's not even one of your titles.
Even the FTW title, we got rid of that one, but pretty much it seems like on the outside looking in, oh, we got rid of the FTW title. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna put in the Ring of Honor title. That's gonna take the place of that one. No.
It's like Jericho needs to be fighting for some title.
He doesn't.
It's like he doesn't. He doesn't need it. Look, he's done it all, man. It's at this point, it's like he's doing what he's supposed to do. Put guys over with Briscoe, but Ring of Honor World Championship, bad on the co-main event. I'm sure other people will complain, and I think we've done enough complaining. Leo, It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Nightcap. It's been an absolute pleasure to pick your brain and talk to you and hear your thoughts and your breakdowns of some of these matches. Like I've said many a times here, you're one of the brightest minds, young upcomers in professional wrestling. You eat, sleep, and breathe pro wrestling. I love watching your content. I love watching your breakdowns, seeing you rank matches. You've got a great YouTube channel, so tell the people about where they can find you, where they can follow you, and what kind of content that you've got before we wrap it all up.
Yeah, so my channel is Kicking with Leo. I do wrestling content, but it's spooky season, so I'm going to be also having some introduction of some horror content because I know a lot of my fans are horror fans as well. So I'm going to try to introduce some horror content in the next couple of weeks, and that's going to become a mainstay on my channel because that's another passion of mine besides wrestling. So I will be introducing that very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. We're at 319 subscribers, but the ultimate goal is 10K. I say this in every one of my videos. When I do hit 10K, one of my lucky subscribers, it could be Mike, it could be the people on the Flex Zone, it could be anybody that has the opportunity to win a WWE Championship from WWE Shop. So if you want to have the opportunity to be part of that, subscribe to the channel. It's always free. You can always change your mind in the future. But while you're doing it, I'm trying to give you guys daily wrestling content. The grind does not stop.
The grind does not stop. So make sure you go head over to Leo's channel. I think Leo over here, he's a master hacker as well, because somehow he got the Nightcap on his YouTube channel as well, streaming here tonight. I'm very impressed with his technical capabilities. It's not something I thought was possible. He's showing an old dog or a somewhat old dog new tricks here tonight on the Nightcap. He's changing my perception of wrestling coming from his wonderful mind here. So make sure you go subscribe. Make sure you get him up to 10K. Hell, maybe you win a championship belt. Like you said, it's free. Make sure you subscribe to Boom Broadcasting as well. I know the Prez would be upset with me, Michael Davis, if I did not plug Boom Broadcasting here tonight. We had Sean Lucas drop Wrestling of Destiny, and It Stinks here today, a bonus episode. So go check it out on the channel right now. As you know, we should have the Gridiron address tomorrow in between the afternoon games and the night game for Sunday Night Football with Aaron hosting that. As well, I will be back on Boom Broadcasting Monday with the Monday Night Raw Nightcap. So hopefully all of you enjoyed Wrestledream. If you didn't enjoy Wrestledream, that's okay. There's more wrestling to be had. You'll probably forget about it if that's the case. I want to thank all of you for spending your night here tonight on the Nightcap with Kicking It with Leo and Mouthing Off with Mike. Dami Feds, much love. Thank you. Great show. Thank you guys so much. From my guest, Kicking It with Leo, I am Mouthing Off with Mike. This is the Nightcap. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.